Hey, amazing people. Today what we're going to do is we're going to look at linear inequalities. Now, linear inequalities are used in a range of situations where it's acceptable to have more than one answer. You might want to say you want an answer from here or bigger. That's the situation these tend to be used in. It could be, as a practical example, from the point, a certain point from which a profit is then made. That would be a practical example of it. Now, in understanding inequalities, first of all, we need to understand the symbols used. Now, in these four examples here, we've got the four different signs we use. The first example is a greater than sign. So we've got x is greater than 1. So what this is saying is we are starting at this point of 1, and then we are moving in a right direction or a upward direction here. But you'll notice the dot here has not been colored in. What this is saying when it's just greater than is it's going from this point, but not including this number. Okay, and likewise, in the second example, we've got x is less than 2. Again, we want to start at that point of 2, and then in this case it's less than, so we want to move in a downward or left direction to indicate that we're decreasing in value, but we're saying we're not including the number 2. We're saying we're starting at this point but not including this point. Now the next two examples are a little bit different because they are a greater than or equal to sign or a less than or equal to sign. And so in this first one, we've got x is greater than or equal to -1. So in this case here, we are starting at -1, but because it is also equal to it, the symbol changes a little bit and it becomes a solid colored in symbol, indicating we're including this number as well. And so then we are moving in an upward or right direction since it's greater than, to indicate any result from there onwards is acceptable. Now in this next one, we've got x is less than -1. Again, it's equal to as well. So it's going to be colored in and solid to indicate that we're including that number as part of it. And then we're moving up and to the left to indicate that it's less than that value and including that value as well. So that's just some identification of how the signs work. Now, there are a couple of other things we have to cover off before we get into the algebra of these. Now, essentially we're solving these like we do normal linear equations. However, one key thing here is if you are dividing by a negative number or multiplying by a negative number, this can actually change the direction of the sign. So for example, if it was headed to the right side, and then we divide by a negative, then it would change direction to the left side. So let's do a quick example. Let's say we've got 2x is less than -1. Let's make that -2x. Now in this case here, what we're going to do is we are going to divide by -2 to find our answer here. But as a result of this, we end up with x, but the sign is going to change direction here. What we end up with is x greater than 1/2. So we can see how it's changed direction there by dividing by that negative number. So if we did have to graph this now, we could put our values in here. So we could have start at 0, 1/2, 1, 1.5. So graphing this, we would start at 1/2. We're not coloring this in, so it's just going to be an open circle, and it would move in that direction here. Okay, so what we're saying is any value of x which is from 1/2 but not including 1/2 or greater helps satisfy this inequality. Another thing to remember when we're dealing with these inequalities is that the sign can change direction when the values change sides. So as an example, if we've got 3 is less than x, okay, when we change this, so if we want to turn this around and have x first, we turn it around, the sign is changing the direction it's pointing. And so it goes from 3 is less than x to now x is greater than 3. Okay, it's indicating the same thing, but just because we change the direction of it, or change the order of organization of the letters and the pronumeral, it's changing the direction of the sign as well. So this is an important thing to keep in mind as you work through solving these.